Hello, Strategic You family. So we have Alma Galvan with us today, and she is the amazing founder of BrainWorks, and she's here to talk to us today a little bit about doing movements and how that works with actually rewiring the brain. Hi, Alma.
Hello, Jamie. Hello, everyone.
Hello. So tell us a little bit more about how the brain works with ADHD. Let's talk today a lot about the different kinds of ADHD and how you work with them.
Fantastic. Well, I'm really excited because not in a million years did I think I was going to get to be doing this in this time of my life. I thought I was going to be a computer programmer, and then I had two boys that really required me to find alternative solutions because what I was being told was not working. And so I learned, I am so grateful that I get to share a little bit about the movements that and why movements are so important. Well, first of all, movement is our first language. And having movement be our first language, we then can go back and by doing certain movements, allow the brain to fill in gaps that we might have had or might have, for whatever reason, we were given. My children had a lot of gaps. As I learned about their gaps, I really learned about my gaps, Jamie. And this is where not only do I want to talk a little bit about the movements, but I also want to show you one of the movements that has been my favorite movement lately because I do it all the time and it can be done anywhere. And when we set a movement with an intention, it is absolutely powerful in allowing our brain to change the brain state that we're in. And we know about brain states where there's a lot of challenges in the world. So at any given moment, we're in a fear brain state. So do you want to just start with that, and then we can kind of go into different types
Yeah,
of
I mean,
ADHD and
exactly. That's extremely interesting too. Just the thought process of changing the brain state in the moment. So yeah, let's
instantly,
talk. Yeah, let's talk
instantly.
about that. It's really cool. Okay.
So this movement is called actually it's called calming heart. It's soothing heart. And soothing heart it goes like this. So do it with me. And our intention is I can learn a little at a time. That's my intention for today for everyone, that they can just as a parent when I was struggling, it just felt like I needed to know it all. I needed to know it now. And no, we need to know that learning takes time. Learning, if we are able to slow ourselves down, we can intake much more than if we hurry up and try to get things done. So both hands go all over our heart. We take a breath. And connect with your heart a little more. And how we connect is we're going to put a little bit of pressure on our heart, feel our heart, and exhale through our mouth. So exhale through your mouth. As you do that, simultaneously put a little bit of pressure on your heart. So this is soothing heart. Because when we soothe our heart then calms down, our brain follows right after that. So do that again. I usually do 2 breaths on both sides. So take a breath. I am able to learn a little at a time, and then press. So now switch hands if it feels good. And if it doesn't, just keep it the same way. But I usually like to switch hands because then it balances my brain a little bit more. So take a breath again. And then press, connect with your heart a little bit more. Exhaling through your mouth. It's so simple.
Hmm.
One more time. And that's it. Now, that's the elongated version of soothing heart. But if I'm really in like a crunch, I just put both hands, set the intention in my mind, and then move on with my day. It's so simple, but that really gets us out of fight or flight very, very quickly. And it connects us back not only to our heart, but as our heart just calms down, our brain just follows suit.
I love that so much because you think about like just in moments of like as moms and as, those of us who might get a little bit frustrated with ADHD or, our children, even just taking them and doing that kind of thing in the moment, is just like helpful to get them like out of whatever this is going on and into, hey, let's just flow into calmness and into peace. I love that.
And we can't guide our children into peace and calmness unless we know the path to that. And so the more that we then model, hang on, buddy. I'm feeling a little frustrated. Let me calm myself down, and as I calm myself down, then I can go into then holding a different space for my child while they're having a meltdown, not joining their meltdown.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a big thing too. My little one is actually sitting right here next to me right now, being super silly.
But that's life, Jamie. I love it.
Yeah,
That's
she
just,
just needs to come in here and be next to mom, I guess. So,
yes,
but yeah, I mean, and that's like exactly that's life, being able to take that and just say, okay, well, this is what's happening right now. And I was in the midst of doing that when she walked in. So it's just like, as a mom, that was just like, it was calming. It was like, ah.
we're here.
So
It's okay.
the other thing, like, I mean, whenever you're talking about ADHD, and we're working through like the different things, like somebody could be hyperactive and like mom or dad could be like, oh, this is a little bit too much right now. You can stop and take a moment in that time. And there's the different kind of like inattentiveness. Can we talk? Actually, let's talk a little bit about that one, the inattentiveness and what it might look like with that.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to take it a little different way that because what I like to talk about with people is that because movement is our first language, and if we missed certain stages of development and didn't get enough movement in some way, shape, or form, or didn't integrate certain reflexes, they're going to challenge our ability to be able to do life easily. They're going to make us have to compensate for what we didn't get. So rather than talking about there's all these other types of, I'm going to say labels, for lack of a better word right now, but that's what they are. I want to give people more of a broader view that, look, we have a foundational piece to us, which is, well, development, but movement gives us that development. And when we didn't get enough, we are basically subject to our brain having to compensate using what it can. And typically it's using extra energy to do what we're asking the child or us to do. But that means that then we're going to have to work harder. We're going to have to use much more energy. And then we're going to be, most of the time, we're going to be out of gas. And that's where then, if we're out of gas, you're going to see inattentiveness. You're going to see then the brain going like, I need to move. I need stimulation. And we think that, oh, that's hyperactive. So again, we're going back to roots that if they're not there solidly, we're going to have all kinds of behaviors and challenges emerge. But we are not able to really see where the root is. And this is where sometimes when I'm working with clients, they go, but what is it? I go, well, I can't even tell you what it is yet until we figure out what, if we fill in the gaps that are there already, then, because then we'll be able to see what is it that we really are left with versus, let's put a Band-Aid on this one because this is the inattentive ADHD, or this is the hyperactive aspect of, it's that's kind of how I see it. So for me, it frees me to not have to, to have people be able to have parents be able to breathe a little bit easier, knowing that, oh, you know what? It's nothing that you did wrong as a parent. You would have done differently if you would have known differently. We would have, but we don't know these things. And so what's beautiful about movement is that, people have these massive businesses in gyms
Yeah.
and nobody talks about the brain. How can we exercise the brain? And the brain needs movement, just like the body.
Oh, that's so interesting. So tell us a little bit more about what that looks like whenever you're doing like movement with the brain.
So movement, going back to the beginning of our life, we basically start off with movements that will allow those, like I said, those gaps to be filled. But as we have to mimic, we have to replicate some of the baby movements, but we don't do them the way that the baby does them or did them because we're not babies. So that's been my journey. That's been my life in trying to figure out how is it that we can do some of these movements without having to, because we have aches and pains as an adult. We have different things that we're not, our ranges are not, because babies have different bodies, so do we. But the beautiful thing about these movements, like creeping, like crawling, like doing reflex integration, all of these can be modified just a tiny bit, and we acquire optimal benefits from them.